Hi guys, welcome to another XtraTalk edition with another and very special guest from Poland, an Ajax fan from Poland. Tomasz, welcome.
Hello there.
Hi. And
Hi,
Ajax, welcome as well.
Thank you, man.
All right. So Tomasz, before we start today's XtraTalk, we have something very exciting to discuss. Would you care to tell us and the fans how you became an Ajax fan in Poland?
Well, it's a common thing that success attracts supporters, and I am no different in that regard. Obviously, I cannot be like a local fan or whatever. So there was this game, 95-96 Champions League final against Juventus, the not very good one. And I watched this with being 80 years old at the time. I watched this with my father and my grandfather. And they were like, yeah, those Italian teams, they are horrible. Let's hope they lose, and so on and so on. That was one thing. I listened to them. And also, I really like the shirt design of Ajax. And I believe it's a pretty important factor for quite a lot of fans that the design is unique. Yeah, and being 88 years old, I didn't really understand much. I really loved Litmanen at the time, and so on. And as years... sorry?
Who didn't?
Yeah,
obviously. And throughout the years, as I grew up, I got to know the history of the club better, and so on and so on. And every single thing I got to know made me fall in love with the club more. And that's basically it. It was an ongoing process, and we're more than 20 years later, and the process is still going, especially with the 18-19 season. Wow, that was a blast. I felt like an 8-year-old back again, and I'm really, really grateful for the guys that they made me feel like that, because it was refreshing.
Yes,
I think all Ajax fans were really happy at that time, and we still are. I mean, it doesn't matter, at the end of the day, we're Ajax fans also because of the philosophy of the club. I think that's very important. But I wanted to ask you another question. So in Poland, right, if you talk to friends and you talk about football and you tell them I'm an Ajax fan, how do they react?
Well, I make it no secret, obviously. So it's a well-known fact among my friends. Still, if a new person gets to know this, well, first thing is quite obvious. So you must have jumped on the bandwagon 2 seasons ago, or maybe when we reached the Europa League final. But other than that, there's more of a surprise, because Ajax obviously is not one of the biggest clubs, and even if the appeal is appealing, the philosophy and so on, but it's not a normal thing to watch, with all due respect, eredivisie on a regular basis.
Yes.
It's not the best league in the Europe
Nope.
It's not an opinion. It's a fact.
And how do you watch these games, by the way, in Poland? Do you get them by cable or
are you not allowed to say this on YouTube?
No, I am allowed. I pay for this. I have there is this one station in Poland that broadcasts eredivisie. Actually, they only broadcast 3 games per round, but Ajax is always there. And if it's not, I always call them. Come on.
All right, great. So Ajax, you will get your turn in a bit. Before we start,
no worries.
Before we start with the discussion of today, Tomasz asked me if he can have a minute of our time to give his opinion on something that was tweeted a couple of days ago, and it was regarding Frank de Boer. He gave an interview about being the head coach of the Dutch national team. But one of the recurring things that still haunts him basically at Ajax is, he was the coach for 4.5 years. And especially the last 2 years, the gameplay of Ajax was not that good and not what you expect from Ajax. And he's confronted with that all the time. And in the latest, he said, well, it also has to do with the type of players and the quality of players that I have. And as an example, he said, it's a big difference whether you play with Eno or with Frenkie de Jong. Tomasz reacted on that, and he even sent me a message, knowing that he will be on the XtraTalk today, that he wants at least a minute just to react on that because he has something to say. So Tomasz, floor is yours.
Very curious.
Okay, so first of all, I did not get bad at the interview. because such words are not worth more of my anger. Yeah, I'm just upset. Also, it's not the first time De Boer's saying something like that, because he also said in a couple more days before, he singled out Niklas Moisander, for example, as well, as being a not as good player or whatever. Remember, Niklas Moisander, one of our former captains and a really good defender for that time, and a player who has had a very good career in Bundesliga after leaving Ajax. So, first of all, why single out Enyong Enoch, who was a decent player and a very loyal servant for the club, and a person who deserves nothing but respect. He never caused any trouble and so on. And that's really disrespectful, especially as this is, he was saying about his last 2 seasons. And it was not at Ajax during his last 2 seasons. So there's no point in saying that. Yeah, that's why not point out, I don't know, Zimling, for example, who would be a much better pick if you want to use that rhetorics. And that's not all. Obviously, he didn't have as good squad as Ten Hag has. Well, that's also not an opinion, that's a fact. But he had Bazur in his very good form. Yeah, I really had huge expectations of Bazur. I thought he would be a world star by now. He didn't, but at the time he was a very promising player. Also, I would say that it's De Boer's fault that Lasse Schöne didn't play that much during his time. And also, how come he did not think of putting him in the central midfielder role? How come he always played either on the wing or as a 10, or sometimes even as a false striker, for whatever reason? Also, yeah, he didn't have as good players, but as far as I remember, it's not that the transfers are made against the current manager. And I believe we spent quite a lot of money for Goodale, for example, who, yeah, did not make, Ten Hag play available as well. So that comments made no sense to me, and I thought this is a good place to raise this, because, yeah, that's a disgrace. To be honest, I'm really sad to see a legend of Ajax, who De Boer is, for obviously, even single-handedly for his manager career. Yeah, even forgetting about the player career, which you shouldn't. But yeah, it's just sad to see that, and yeah, and that's it. Basically, that's it. I just wanted to, release it here. So
sure,
that's that.
Do you have a take on this one?
Yeah, I actually agree with you, Tomasz. I think we all know, and if we compare the 2 teams of that era and of the last few years, we can all see that Erik ten Hag has a lot of more quality players, and it's not bad to say that I had better players or I had worse players at that moment, but it's not fair to single out single players who had a contribution during those seasons. And it is not their fault that maybe they had less quality than the players have now in the squad or at the last seasons, but it's not fair to them to single them out. So I agree with you on this. You can say my players during those seasons were of less quality than the players of the last seasons of Ten Hag. That is fair to say. It's still an excuse, but it's more fair to single it out like that, not mentioning Enyong or other players. Actually, Niklas Moisander was one of the captains at Ajax, like you said, and he chose him as a captain. And I think it's not chic to say that about somebody you singled out as a captain during those campaigns. So yeah, I would rather not see him do that also. So I totally agree with your take on this. And yeah, I always will value De Boer, even though the football was not that nice during those seasons, but he delivered us the 3rd star. I was in the stadium that match against Twente with my little nephew and with my older brother. And it's an experience of a lifetime. I will never forget that match and that season. And the ambience within the arena, that game, I've never experienced that before. It was of a different standard. So I will always have a warm spot for Frank de Boer, and I will always have a great memories about Siem de Jong, who also got burned a lot less seasons, and let's be honest, he wasn't of the quality anymore that is necessary at Ajax. But I have warm memories from those periods, from those people. So it's bad to see him say something like that. So yeah, I totally agree.
Look, the thing is for me, right? Why does Frank de Boer, Thomas, I will give you 1 minute. I just want to say one thing. I don't understand why Frank de Boer feels the need to really defend himself. I mean, of course, he gets confronted by, by the interviewers with your game was not that good in the final 2 years. And what you guys say is absolutely true. Just stick with the facts that, okay, my quality of players, it was decreasing year in, year out, because we know that Ajax financially was saving up to become what they are right now. So he doesn't need to defend it. All the fans know this already. He doesn't need to single out the players like you guys are saying. So that's my take on it. Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah, just one more thing. Obviously, the Bulls got a worse squad than we have right now. But still, he had a good enough squad to play way better than. And that's something I will, defend until my death, which hopefully won't happen over this. Still, yeah, that's not a fair argument, I believe. He chose players like Gudeli, for example, who were not, built to play the Ajax way, and that's what he got. And I believe, obviously, the circumstances were as they were. But still, he's much to blame here, if there is blame, obviously. But basically, the lack of respect to his former players, yeah, I didn't really like that, and maybe let's leave it at that, because I believe we have more interesting stuff to talk about.
Yes, we have. We have to move on to the real topic of today. So let me give an introduction, right? How we came up with this important topic. First of all, it's January transfer window. So we're going to talk about whether Ajax needs to strengthen the squad, yes or no. But before we start with this question, I just want to give a little bit of background. I believe in my view, maybe you guys see it differently, but in the summer, I was 100% certain that Ajax had the best squad in the eredivisie. 100%. I thought the title is already ours. Okay, I'm a bit overreacting right now, but pretty much I thought, okay, we have the best team. In every single category, we have really good players. We even have a decent backup squad, bench, etc., etc. That was before Noah Lang went away. That was before Botman went away. I have to say that up front. Okay, so at the end of the day, so now what we see in the current standings is we're only 1 point in front of PSV in the league. We didn't qualify for the next rounds of the Champions League. And in the Christmas special, there was an interview with Edwin van der Sar, and he said that it would be nice in the Europa League to go as far as possible. But one thing that's really a must for us to build and proceed with our ambition to compete with the big clubs, we have to clinch the title this year. We have to win it. That's a must. He didn't say it would be nice. No, he said we have to win the title. So looking at everything, and please take everything into consideration. Looking at the squad, we're getting a lot of injured players back. Do you think we need to strengthen the squad, or do you think this team is good enough to win the eredivisie title? Thomas, go ahead.
Okay, so it's good to hear that Van der Sar saying we have to win the title. We're Ajax, we're the best. So obviously, it's a must. And when it comes to strengthening the squad, is it good enough for clinching the title? I believe it is. But is it good enough overall? No, it's never good enough. We're Ajax, we're the best, and we should always look to improve. And the point is that I don't really see many opportunities in the market. We have to take into the consideration that, actually, I echo your emotions regarding the summer transfer window. And after a month, I was even happier when I saw Kudus play. We all here love Kudus, obviously. What a player. Yeah, and considering that, I look at our squad and looking at the numbers, the quantity of players and their quality, I don't see one particular position that would require strengthening. Remember that if both Neres and Anthony are fit, then we can play Tadic as 10. It's not a perfect solution, but I cannot imagine that team without our captain. He's the heart and the soul of the team. Even if he plays a bit worse, he's no benching him. Sorry. So maybe up front at number 9, we need somebody, but who? Well, there was some gossip that we could possibly shorten the loan of Danilo, which sounds like a plan, especially looking at his goal scoring record this season. But other than that, I'm not sure if we should spend big. I'm not sure if this is the time, financial wise, to make such big financial contributions. You read about this Brazilian kid that Sao Paulo supposedly offered us for 12 million, I believe. Yeah, well, first, my first thought is that's suspicious that they offer him on their own. So there must be something wrong with the boy. But in all seriousness, we look shaky at the defense. We look shaky in midfield at times. Our wingers not always look perfect, not to mention number 9 and not to mention the dreaded 10 position. But I believe we should focus, and I know that this is not something that, two things that would rule each other out, so like transfers and working on players, but looking at what we have, I believe we should focus on making all the players play the top of their game. And that's it. And if we do that, if Ten Hag's able to do that, and actually I believe he is, then we have a good enough squad, more than good enough actually. Yeah, and that's basically my take. I know it's commonly agreed almost that, I don't know, we need someone in central defense as cover. That maybe a left back, Nico's not that great, unfortunately, this season. And as much as I love Martinez, left back is his worst position, I guess, maybe other than goalkeeper. But I think we have quite a complete squad. And the other thing is what we think should happen and what would Ten Hag do with new players coming in. We know that he's very hesitant to put new players right away in the squad. Anthony is, let's treat him like more than a player. He was really expensive and his quality is obvious. Kudus needed some time as well, actually, to be put in the team. So we have to take this into consideration as well. Is it worth spending much? Remember, the prices in the winter are usually way higher than in the summer, because you have less time to buy reinforcements and so on, obvious stuff. Yeah, is it worth it? Is it worth it when Ten Hag's going to introduce new players after, I don't know, a month? So how much is going to be left in the season, especially this season? And isn't it better to wait, especially with what we have? If we sell somebody, if we sell Edson, for example, which I have my fingers crossed for, because as much as I like the guy, he seems like a nice person, yeah, it's not his place on the planet. I guess it would be better off for everyone that we part ways. But unless we sell anyone, yeah, I wouldn't be that happy to spend much. Obviously, if Eriksen is possible, forget about everything I said. It's Eriksen, for God's sake. But other than that, yeah, I wouldn't make any nervous moves, to be honest. If there is a big opportunity, I would go with it. But other than that, not so much, to be honest.
Yeah, I do not agree fully with what you said. I do agree the argumentation you made, but for me, I think it's overdue to get another central defender. And especially if you want to play a little bit more in Europe. And I know Van der Sar said we need to be champions and we need to go as far as possible in Europe. But to be honest, Blind and Schuurs combination, and especially Blind last months, after also his heart problems, I just don't think he's cut out to play central defender for a long time anymore. He's terrific at passing, but he has so many flaws that he needs to cover up for, and his partner in defense is covering up for him when he's getting into trouble again. It saddens me to say it because I really like Daley Blind, also because his father played at the club. He's a child of the club, so I do not mean this negatively, but for me, the best is behind him with Blind, and I think it's better. We can solve it with the players we have at the club, like play Martinez at left central defender and play him together with Schuurs. I think they are a better partner combination than Blind and Schuurs because they're too similar. And I've talked about this many times with Juan in different episodes. Also, I think the left back position could also use some reinforcement. So I agree with the midfield and with the attack, although a pure number 9 for like competition with Traoré would be welcome. Maybe not a player that is already arrived, but more of a talent that they can fight it out together. Like I tweeted like a few days ago about Zirkzee, Joshua Zirkzee from Bayern Munich. He needs to go, according to the news article. And I think would be a great talent to add if you can get him at a nice value. I will not say he will be a first 11 player immediately, but it's nice competition to play against with Traoré. They can fight it out together. Let's be honest, Huntelaar it's his last season. He's doing terrific still with his 36 years of age, or maybe 37 already, I do not remember. But we do not have that many players for the striker position. We have Brobby. It's also a youth product, but those are actually the only two. You can play Tadic as a false 9, but it's not his pure position. Also, Labiat at the striker position, let's stop with that immediately. Let's just stop playing him all at once. Like you were saying, I do not know if Ten Hag will implement new players immediately. No, he won't. He will let them be on the bench for 2 months and play Labiat on every position. So that is my take on it. But for me, a central defender would be welcome. We have too few players that can play there. We have Timber, who also is a youth product. We have Martinez, that is an excellent player, what we've talked about before, but he's always being benched, while other players get their chance all the time, like Labiat, who's playing like the worst game and another worst game and another worst game, and he still gets played, while Martinez is usually contributing positively almost every match he plays, and he's benched again. So do we have enough value and have enough quality in the team? I think so, but he has to use the right players in the right position. And to get back to the midfield situation, you were saying we're playing Tadic as a 10, and I actually also said this online on Twitter, but we have to make difficult decisions then, because for me, a fit Kudus will always play. A fit Gravenberg will always play. So actually, I responded to a tweet of Juan on WeTalk. What would be your ideal 11? For me, at the current situation, it would be Traoré in the striker position, because I do believe in him. Like a lot of people just burn him and they say he's not good enough for Ajax, but do not forget, he's only 19 years old. So he's not doing everything perfectly, but he has a lot of qualities that he has shown last half year that he can grow on, but also showed a lot of good things. So let's give him a little bit more time to actually perform and grow within the team. For me, always the two Brazilians will play on the right and the left position. So for me, Tadic, if you want to play him, it's on the number 10. And this means making a difficult decision. For me, this is benching Klaassen. Although he's a terrific player and he has some great qualities, and he's actually a first 11 player. If I have to choose between Gravenberg, Kudus, and Klaassen is being benched for me. And not everybody will agree with this, because Tadic, you will not leave out your captain out of the first 11. He is your captain. And even though he's not that great of a player like the Champions League campaign, he's still doing terrifically if you take into consideration how many assists and goals he makes. And so still it's above par, and still it's above the average that we see within the Dutch competition. So yeah, these are difficult decisions. For me, the midfield is okay. If Eriksen is possible, of course, do it, because he's such a great player and such a legend of the club. You should always try to establish this if it's possible. A striker, only buy a striker if it's a bargain buy, if it's a talented player that can compete with Traoré and Brobby for the future purpose of filling in the number 9 spot. But the real problems for me is just please get another central defender, a good one. and a left back is also very welcome. And for me personally, I think Wijndal from AZ, I like his style of play, and I like him as a player. And he also debuted in the Dutch national squad, and he did pretty well in those games. So if I have to mention a player that I would think would fit the style of play of Ajax and would be a terrific addition for the coming years, I will say Owen Wijndal. For the central back positions, there's a guy in Manchester, I think, and he's called Timothy Fosu-Mensah. He's a former Ajax youth product, and they actually tried to get him back to Ajax a few years ago, but he got injured. And he's a big, tall, strong guy. He's also pretty fast, and he has good passing play. So if you want to have somebody who's ready for the Ajax squad and knows the philosophy of the club, he's a child of the club. He went away at the early age, unfortunately. But he probably learned a lot in England, the way they defend there, the way they educate players there. He would be a good, maybe an addition to fill in the depth that we lack at the central back positions. And this is just an idea. I do not know if everybody agrees with it, but those two players could add some value. And maybe the Cirque for the striker position. But for me, this team should be strong enough to win the eredivisie. And with a fit squad, with good morale within the team, I also think we can win against Lille. They are also in a position that they are financially challenged at the moment. They probably need to sell some players because of the situation with COVID. They have a lot of debt, as I read. So you do not know what will happen within the January transfer window. So yeah, we have to wait and see.
Okay, if I may add my 2 words, because obviously this is a very big topic. You've mentioned Blind, and obviously I am worried about him as well. But if we consider, any transfers, we cannot just think like, hey, we should get this guy because he would be better than Blind. I don't believe that Blind is anything else than an untouchable person in the first squad. Whoever we get, Blind is going to play. I'm sure about that. He has too big of a contract. He's too big of a person in the dressing room. And as much as I can agree with a lot of things you say, I don't believe that getting a central defender, to make him play less is going to happen. Maybe he could play more of a left back, but with his speed, I don't believe it's a very good idea. So yeah, that's one thing. The other one, we have, if you think of it, we have like 6 central defenders. We have the first proper pair, or whatever you call it, yeah, with Schuurs and Blind. Then we have Edson, I believe, and Lisandro as a backup. And also we have youth guys. Yeah, we have Timber for the right central back, and I guess we could use Wrench as the central, the left center one. Do we really need another one there? Do we really want to make one of the youth guys play even less in the first team, especially as they are ready to play? I believe. Yeah, maybe not, against Lille or whatever, but they should get more minutes. Also, yeah, Wijndal is a great player. I really would love to see him in an Ajax shirt. But would he play? Isn't Tagliafico untouchable as well? And would Wijndal agree right now to be a backup player for him? Well, maybe if he would be promised that Nico is going to be sold in the summer, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. And if that's going to happen, why wouldn't Wijndal want to, remain until the end of the season at AZ? Zirkzee, or whatever the pronunciation of his last name is. Sorry for that. I'm not Dutch, and
yeah, it was good.
Yeah, but regardless, would he want to compete? Wouldn't he get like offers of being a starter at a number of other places? Not that was an Ajax, and yeah, most likely in better leagues. Yeah, I know we can wish for a lot of things, but I'm a bit skeptical. I mean, all of the names you mentioned make perfect sense. Don't get me wrong, but I have my doubts about all that, basically.
Yeah, but what I have to say about this, the central back solution you're giving, I agree with it. I can also see that we have sufficient backup with it. But the problem is, I do not care what kind of contract Blind is on. I do not care if he's one of the valued players. I like him as a person. For me, if you ask my opinion, is he good enough at the moment? And I have seen too many flaws within his play and too many errors that he's been making last months. So it's a perfect solution to play other players, but then you have to be harsh and just say to Blind, you're being benched. And then you have to play with Martinez or Timber or an other player that we have in the youth academy. Give them a chance. Remember, De Ligt went to the first team squad when he was 16. We have a philosophy at Ajax that we play the best players. Doesn't matter if they're 16 or if they're 35 or 36. Doesn't matter if they earn 10K a month or maybe 100,000, 200,000 euros a month. The best players should play. And with my problem with Ten Hag at the moment is he doesn't make the difficult choices. He just goes for, in his opinion, the most logical choice. But if he should be honest about the level of play that Blind has been showing, we can all see it. You can see more and more people commenting about it on Twitter and other programs on the television. He is just not cut out for the first team anymore. Maybe for the eredivisie, but the bigger games, you can see he's been getting into trouble. And also, Schuurs has been blamed a lot also because he made some mistakes in the past games also. But he has to cover up for Blind many times when he screws up. So he gets blamed that it goes wrong in the end. But the first mistake often lies with Blind. So this is a difficult situation. So if we do not get another central back, then make the decision to play other players. Simple as that.
Okay, guys.
And also, if I can, sorry, Juan, if I can
one more time, so really short this time, please.
Yeah, if I can mention one more thing, what really annoyed me last weeks is that I saw an interview of Noah Lang, that he went to the coach and said, "Coach, I think it's better for me to be loaned out because I need my minutes, and you're asking me to play out Tadic out of the squad." And Ten Hag told him, "Then you're being sold." Seriously, this infuriates me because you can see how he's doing in Belgium. And I think we say goodbye too soon to certain talents at the club. I see people telling also, sell Ekkelenkamp, loan him out, blah, blah, blah. Give the player some time to adjust to the first team and actually give him some more minutes. Because the way it went down with Noah Lang, seriously, I was very angry when I read it. It was one of the biggest F-ups, to say it like this, from Ten Hag this season. Because Noah would have been a great addition to the squad, even with all the injuries we had the last couple of months, with the form Promes was in. He would have been a great addition. Even on the number 10 position, he would have done very much better, I think, than Labiat. So I just want to say this really briefly. I do not understand how that went down, and I blame Ten Hag for this. Seriously, I cannot understand it.
All right, thanks, Ajax. Tomasz, we're going to end with you. Your final take on the discussion. You have 1 minute exactly, so don't go over the 1 minute, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, what Ajax said, there's much truth in it, and I'm not saying that Blind should play. All I'm saying is that he will play. It's not my opinion that he should. He will. That's the point. And from what I'm saying, what I'm hearing is that my colleague wants the move in the transfer window is to change Ten Hag, basically. Maybe not the person, but the way he performs as a manager. Well, I believe that Noah Lang-wise, you have to judge a transfer at the moment it was made, not later on. And at the time, I believe it was a justifiable decision to let him go, and at least Ten Hag was honest with him. That's the least we can give back to Eric. Other than that, yeah, I guess that we should really look for something special in the market. Other than that, with the manager we have, which I support, by the way, yeah, we shouldn't make any nervous moves. Just take proper care of the players we have, not make them injured, and make sure they go in with their best form.
Hey there, thanks for watching. A thumbs up if you enjoyed that video. Subscribe so we can bring you more awesome content. Do it.